Welcome to Mediumship Moments with psychic medium Kim Durham. Join her as she shares her personal journey with mediumship, connects with your loved ones, and discusses topics dealing with spirituality.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mediumship Moments. I am thrilled to have an amazing person as my guest, Hayley Paige, today. Hi, everybody. Hello. Round of applause. Round of applause. Yay. Yay. And I have to tell you, you're off. I often say that when I do podcast, I had told you this before we jumped on, stuff breaks. Like fuses pop. We just had the computer go down. I've had lights burst. And it's interesting. When we tried to do this before, you had a landscaper run over, I don't know, cords, whatever, and it shot down everything, right?
Yes, it was exactly that. We have this beautiful lawn for our apartment building, and it gets mowed every Thursday or something. And whenever we were recording that day, it just literally went right over the severed Wi-Fi, and then we were in black.
Yeah, and we scrambled, and it wasn't. And I often notice when I have people who sit with me via Zoom, and they're trying to connect with their loved ones. If I have any technological issues, they end up. I often say they're not in town to communicate. So it's kind of interesting. It's like, no, I'm not in town, and so we're just going to shut this down somehow. And it was kind of interesting how it happened. But I can't thank you enough for doing this. I'm just thrilled that you're here with us today. And it's interesting. I wanted to talk about your journey into what you do, because you're so creative and you have so many avenues of creativity. I wonder if it's tough to be able to. So give me an idea of a little bit about what you do.
Yes. Well, I am so lucky that I get to do it again. And part of my, whole theme and getting back into the wedding space is that it's twice upon a time, and it's not once. You can fall in love again, and you can also have a second shot at your dream, which is what I'm doing now. But I got into wedding dress design pretty early in life. My grandmother taught me to sew and bake, and that just kind of led me on the path of wanting to be creative, and specifically in the dress design world. And so I pursued it pretty aggressively in college. And then I got a job right out of college. I got into the bridal industry. And then I had a beautiful chapter where, I basically had my namesake collection. And during probably the pinnacle, of that moment, I had a big fall from grace, and I had signed this bad contract when I was younger, and I didn't realize how it was going to be interpreted. And then I actually lost, the right to design dresses for a period of time. I was under a non-compete. I lost my name. I couldn't use my
I can't imagine. And I'm sorry to step on your toes, but you called it a fall from grace. That is so, you're putting such a fabulous positive spin on a point in your life that had to be absolutely hellish. Just had to be, because to build a brand in any industry, your name, your reputation is everything. And to not have the ability to use that, of course, there's so many life lessons there over that. And so many of us early in our careers get contracts that we're like, oh my God, we're so excited. We're going to, this is so great. And, your brother's buddy's a lawyer, and he's just going to eyeball it, and you're good, and we don't realize, the ramifications, Hayley, of how that could happen. But so, and it's interesting, our worlds intersect. You worked with my assistant way back when with one of your jobs in the bridal industry. So I thought that was kind of neat. And so that's how we end up with in front of each other. But she finally thinks of you and says hello, by the way. Jenna sends her love. She really does. Yeah. She always said that you always had a smile. You were the easiest person to work with, and you made that long commute she had that much better because you got to work together. So, so you went through all of this, right? The bad contract, the name being taken away. Is there anything that you tapped into that would help center? Because you work energetically, right? Everything's an inspiration. You had the inspiration from your grandmother and sewing. And I just want to ask you, did she have a specific sewing room off of the screened-in porch or the sunroom of her house?
She did. She had a a bedroom. It was like a guest bedroom.
Converted.
converted it, to her little
Yeah.
sewing
Okay.
machine and all that.
Yeah. And do you have anything of that early time of her sewing box?
I do. Yes, I
Do.
have. I have actually quite a lot of stuff
Yeah.
that she passed down to me. I think probably the most coveted item, she used to knit baby blankets for the children's hospital
Okay.
and for
Oh.
newborns. And so I have one of
Oh,
those like original
do
blankets.
you? I
Yeah.
think that's
So
beautiful. And it's just interesting, that inspiration that you tap into and that early creativity that you channel. And I believe creativity comes through the DNA, however it gets there. We can link back and look and go, oh, my grandmother was so good at this, that time she spent, and plus your own creativity. So as you went through this, fall from grace, and we'll just call it that because you're so good to say that, was there a saving grace coming through it? Let's just put it that way.
yes, there absolutely was. And I think it came in so many forms. It really shape shifted for me because it wasn't just one specific thing. I had an amazing support system. So I think just like the humans that still remained and believed in me and just didn't want to see me feel defeated by it was probably the most important. And then second to that, I would say is just a general sense of gratitude that I had still, because even though it was very tumultuous in what I was experiencing and it was a big form of a conflict, I didn't want that to take away from all the goodness of that chapter, and like helping women find their dream dresses and getting to do what I loved for as long as I did. And yes, I made a mistake in signing this contract and now I'm trying to fight my way through it. It just, they kind of could coexist at the same time. And I also believe that even when you're going through something really negative, that you can still find little pockets of joy or things to just make yourself feel human and grounded and like where your focus goes, energy flows. And I really subscribe to
Oh,
that. So I would
yeah,
say those
absolutely.
few things for sure.
Yeah. So say that again about where your energy flows, because I love that saying.
Yeah, just like, where your focus goes, your energy flows. And so if you're choosing to focus on the negative, or if you're focusing constantly on feeling victimized by life or your circumstances, you're just going to be in this state of deficit. Whereas if you're thinking about, well, I've got my health first and foremost, like that's number one, and you hear people say it, it's like, you have your health, you have a million problems. If you don't have your health, you have one problem. It is like the one problem. And so, and I think it's because my
You're
dad's a
such a
doctor.
wise old soul.
Oh
You
my
are,
gosh, you're so
Hayley.
sweet. No, I think my dad grew up. I mean, he's a doctor and he dealt with death all the time, and so like when you have life and you have all these things that are just like a bare bones, like very important, that does gives you a little perspective sometimes. And it's like, okay, it's not
It
all
does.
bad, like
No, and yeah, my time in the operating room assisting, doing cardiothoracic and orthopedic surgery, I saw things happen that weren't supposed to, like, unbelievable. Call them
miracle.
mini miracles of
Yeah,
like, are you kidding me? And, seeing somebody on bypass and then the heart starting again, I just sit like, there's just that,
yeah,
and it really does put in perspective, like all the problems that you have, like really, like,
right,
in
right.
the scheme of things.
Yeah.
So that keeps you grounded. Absolutely. So dad's a doctor, and mom?
Yeah. My mom actually worked as the manager in my dad's office, but she also has a background in medicine and science.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
when they
Yeah.
first met, they both couldn't afford to go to med school. So they basically were like, okay, dad's
Rock,
going to
paper,
med school.
scissor. Is that? Yeah. Okay.
Mom's going to pay for it. And then,
Okay. There you go.
they were a good team. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. And it takes a team, right? In anything that you do, whether it's a marriage, whether it's running a company. So you get through the fall of grace. You've learned from all of this. You've got perspective. Now, flipping the page, when you talk about this in your journey, what are the team that you surround yourself with now? Like whether that's spiritual, the team on the other side, or, how do you incorporate that team effect?
Yeah, I definitely have a small circle in my like immediate life because my fiance and we live out in Palm Beach in Florida, and I work from home. And so, but after COVID, I feel like he and I realized like we really like each other and we're best friends first.
You know what? COVID will do it. You
So
either find out really
we're like,
quick. Yeah,
definitively like each
I
other.
don't know the stat. That's true. I don't know if the stats went up for divorce after COVID. Like, I can't know. I can't. But you do. When you have to share a house for 2 years with the same person, it's true.
Yeah.
So doing that, so your circle's small. You've got your fiance that's part of your team, and do you put mom to work at all?
So my mother I'm so lucky to have a good relationship with my mom and my parents in general. And I would say my mom is just somebody who has kind of grown into like a best friend as well, because I really cathart to her, and she's such a good listener, and she knows me very, very well. So it's just so easy.
That's true. She know. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
So that's great that you've got. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just going to say I also have an amazing mentor that actually lives on Palm Beach as well, and he's actually somebody who really helped me through my lawsuit and helped me kind of approach it from like a business mindset and like treat it like it's a game of chess kind of, which was so helpful for me. And so he's been an amazing support for me. But like living in Palm Beach where we are, we have such a different social life now, because we used to have this huge community in New York City and we were always going out, going to events. And now we're so much more homebodies, and we've been working and kind of surviving, the past few years to like get back on our feet, like especially for me financially. And so we've just, the whole social environment has really changed for us. So we don't have as many friends like immediate in this area. They're all far away, so, but it's great to have a tight unit here, and then hopefully we'll be able to grow it.
Yes, absolutely. You start, it's the phoenix. You're rising from the ashes to start and begin again.
Exactly.
So do you use anything, meditation or anything on the spiritual realm to help before you start to work or channel any inspiration, or like, is there anything that you interject into your process?
I love visualizing. I think that's a really important part of my making sense of things. I was a gymnast growing up, and I was always visualizing my routine. I was always visualizing sticking the landing, and like a successful team routine, and like you replay it in your mind before you go and practice it. And so I actually do this thing now, like before big events or runway shows, or like I play it in my head, and like I almost like kind of dream and fantasize about it, but like in a very positive light. And I think it's a way of manifesting and just like really connecting with that moment before it happens. Not to like exceed the expectations of it, but just to like believe it's going to go well, kind of in your mind.
Keep it positive until otherwise instructed.
Yeah.
Is there any, and that's interesting that, it's kind of like muscle memory in a way, the same thing with being a gymnast. Now, is there any time that you have intuitively psychic? Because I'm all about, women's intuition is a thing. Everybody's got intuition, right? We all have a gut feeling. We all have that, like, you've met somebody and you go, that person is creepy. I don't know if I could work with them. Right. It's like your energy speaks before you do.
Right.
So is there anything that intuitively that you've visualized before it's come to fruition?
I feel if I was to get really specific on one occasion, I definitely tried to visualize what it would be like to get my name back when I didn't have my name. And that is something like I thought about, oh man, like it'll be so amazing to be able to like go on Instagram to my community and to my family and everyone and just be like, I'm Hayley Paige, and then that moment did end up happening. And so that was kind of a beautiful poetic moment for me personally.
Yeah. So you're right. So you set the intention. I often talk about when we use our spirit guides or our spiritual posse, whoever is around, that you speak openly of what you desire or an opportunity. And I'm not saying that your heart, blood, sweat, and tears didn't get you to where you are now, but it's always nice that I tell people to open up, visualize it, set the intention openly, and not to be afraid to ask for anybody who may be a part of your spiritual posse. Hey, listen, if you could, listen, I asked my mom for help. I teased, tell her to get off the beach. And if you could help me with this event tonight, I'd really appreciate it. And then the event turns out to be like amazing. And they're like, oh my God, Kim, you were on fire. And I'm like, that's Joan. I called her off the beach to help, but, you do what you can. But it's interesting that you have this such a visual aspect, obviously, of what you do. So let's talk about now that you've got your voice back, okay? Now that you can walk into a room and introduce yourself as who you are, what does that look like now?
It feels like I'm right at home.
Look at that nice deep. It was a moment of a sigh. Like, yes, I have because it's new, right? It only happened this year in February-ish.
It's new, yeah. So I got my name back in end of May of last year. So it's going to be a year and next month.
Okay.
But then obviously there was like this long period of like transferring the IP, and then I bought my IP back and all that kind of stuff. But I feel so much more at ease a bit, because it really does feel like if you love something, you let it go, and if it comes back, it's yours. And I kind of feel like that. I had to depart from my name and kind of be okay with the fact that I might never get my name back. And then I got her back, and so I was like, oh, she came back, Yeah.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
So now that you have Hayley Paige back, what are you doing with the name? As far as, let's talk about now with your new line. We had talked briefly before we jumped on, and you were telling me about the new collection and what that looks like.
Yes. So we're going to be relaunching Hayley Paige, the wedding dress collection, which is super exciting. But I think more than that is just the ownership of, being me again, and just feeling like it's a very natural thing that I what I'm going to do with it is just to kind of own it and own the story that comes alongside it, and try to remain being as authentic as possible. And I know that word is overused quite a bit, but I feel that.
But it's important to be who you are.
Yes,
I mean, and that's part of your designs, is that they're feminine, but with this added je ne sais quoi. Like there's just a little, there's a little bit of Hayley in every dress you design or anything. I mean, even Cheval, your shoe line that got you through the fall from grace. And that's where you pivoted, right?
Yes.
You've learned to pivot from that fall of grace and just open up other avenues. It was something really interesting, Hayley. You had started a nonprofit that I'd love to talk about, how you've taken this fall from grace and this moment of what you've learned from. And if you could speak about that a little bit, I'd love.
Yes, because when I shared my story, I felt like I was kind of putting a problem out into the world, in that, like, oh gosh, like I lost my name and I didn't, have the wherewithal to really protect myself early in my career. And I know so many other people that have kind of made a similar mistake or experienced a setback in their career because of that, where you don't want to miss out on the opportunity. You don't want to be combative in any way, and you got to sign on that dotted line type of thing. And so I realized there's a bit of a void in the market for protection and accessibility to lawyers that can help, that aren't too expensive. And so I'm trying to kind of just build a community where, one, it's educating through experience, right? And like what can happen if you don't take an extra minute to kind of protect yourself. But two, like how can we provide actual resources to use Chat GPT and AI and things to kind of help us of what to look out for. And so we just want to be and that made sense through a nonprofit.
And I love that. I mean, you're taking those hard lessons and everything that came from that fall from grace and are putting forth the knowledge and the opportunity from somebody else to learn. You're mentoring other young people in the fashion industry, or really in any industry, to be able to look at what you've learned and obviously take that knowledge and moving forward. So I just think that's a fantastic way, energetically, to take, I'll say, lemons and turn them into lemonades,
right.
Simplistically, right?
Yeah,
over that.
Exactly.
Now, it's a good way of putting it. Now, you've designed for all kinds of amazing people, Kelsey Ballerini, Sabrina Bryan, there's, the list goes on. I could sit here and, is there anything with this new collection that brings a pivot from your previous designs?
I definitely wrestled with the idea of in representing the collection, what we wanted to hold on to aesthetic wise and like in terms of the signature DNA of the designs. And we had these few styles that were just so iconic to the brand in that they made the brand recognizable in a certain way. And so I've tried to find an artful way of still honoring those styles while still carrying the ball forward a bit, because we do want to put out new dresses. And so there's a few remixes in there sprinkled in, and then there's some that are just totally fresh and new. But it's been like a really exciting seat to be back in because I feel so comfortable doing it and like, oh, I know how this goes, and there's a familiarity to it and just a real connection. I just like love doing it. And that's a big blessing.
It shows
when
you're just like emanating, just you've got this aura around you of just like, I love what I do. I'm thrilled to be back, and anything I can do to funnel this joy, like yay for me, So let's talk about I touched upon the spiritual side. Is there anybody? If I feel as though there's a connection with somebody coming through, is it okay if I chat with them a little?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I didn't put you on the spot. Is the name Gertie or the hard, like a nickname, Gertie or Gertrude or Getty or like a hard G? Because there's a female connected to you, and I don't know if she's contemporary to your grandmother, but.
Well, my grandmother's name was Marge.
Okay, hold on. Where's the G?
Marge. So Marg.
Okay. Did you call her? I don't want to say Gigi's, but did you? It's interesting. Yeah, because when I started to describe like where you learned to sew, I felt like she was taking me there, but she had a nickname. Like did she not go by her given name, or she went by the shortened version of her name? Because she showed me a birth certificate and the name was passed along, or a portion of it. Do you understand that?
I feel like her Marge was kind of the nickname for her longer name.
Okay.
But we definitely called her Grandma. I mean, G is Grandma.
Yeah, I get it. I just, the way that she was talking, was she from New York or like upstate New York, or anybody in that region?
She had family in New York.
In that area? Okay.
But she spent most of her life in Las Vegas.
Okay. Because she's taking me over to New York, over that area. And was it just, do you understand the number 13 connected here at all? Like that would be a birth date, an anniversary date, something about the 13th. And this is your mom's mom?
This is my dad's mom.
Huh.
Yeah, it's my dad's mom. I mean, I was close with both of my grandmothers. And so if it was
Who had the open heart surgery?
My fiance.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
She's talking to me about him. And that she looks over him. She really likes him, but she keeps talking about this. And who's left-handed?
Conrad.
Like, do you have a ring?
Right.
Or somebody
I wear a ring on my left hand, obviously, but
do you wear her ring?
No, I don't.
There's something about a ring, because she keeps bringing it up. And I want to talk about a cluster of three stones. 1, 2, 3. She keeps talking to me. My brother's a jeweler, so I like to be really specific about jewelry. So the way Marge comes through, okay, yes. 1, 2. She have 2 children or 2 boys?
She had 2 children, yes. One, my dad and my aunt.
And you're, huh. She's interesting. All I can tell you is I'm in that room, and I felt like there was something about the sun. Like, she keeps showing me sun, and I get Vegas, and God knows they have sun. And you talked about the blankets. Did you incorporate any of her signature or anything of her? I want to talk about sewing, or like, what do they call it when they do that?
Stitching.
Yes.
Like embroidery?
Did you? Yes, that's the word. Thank you. We're playing charades. Do you have anything of the embroidery that you've made into something else?
Yes. So
you took a piece of it. Do you understand this?
Yeah, my print that I created, it's illustrated for my Chia Cheval brand. I specifically incorporated a little Singer sewing machine in the print. It's kind of
She loves
hidden.
that. Okay. She
Okay.
loves that you did that. And
Uh-huh.
that's an homage to her.
It is.
So, because she keeps showing me this. Okay. So please know that she comes through like that. Yeah. She keeps showing me her left wrist. Did she have a fall or an injury to the left arm? Or did somebody in the family, just let me say within 2 years? Because she keeps showing me the left wrist or left.
Well,
And usually for me, that's left-handedness or.
my dad has had some health issues lately.
Okay.
So she might, because it's my dad's mom, she might
Okay.
be.
All I can tell you is she's wrapping that in like white light of healing in that area. Sometimes they'll talk to me like I'm still a nurse, and they'll say, "Hey, watch out! Something with the left
The
wrist."
left wrist.
And it's the house by the either golf course or Big Green. Big Green.
Yeah, they had.
Do you understand this house?
They had.
And it's the steps. Hold on. It's the steps leading down to the back. Do you understand?
I definitely had an aunt's house that did that.
Okay. And is that person connected to this grandmother?
No, that was my aunt on my.
This is another person coming
side.
through. This would be on mom's side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the steps going
Yeah.
down that, but they're on like a ranch kind of. They're also in Nevada, but that might be
Yes.
on my mom's side.
Okay. She's just coming through. Is that grandmother crossed as well? That's mom's mom?
That might be mom's grandma. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. There's just two of them battling to say.
Hello.
And was it just mom's birthday? Where's this celebration here? Coming up 2 weeks.
My fiance's birthday is in less than 2 weeks, so that's probably.
Okay. They're all saying happy birthday.
Oh, well,
Big happy birthday.
That's so sweet. My fiance, I always tell him that both of my grandmothers would have loved him. So.
Love him.
Yeah.
Love him. So you're getting thumbs up from both sides. So I just wanted to share that. But just know that little homage that you've done to Marge, she absolutely loves. And I'm not saying she takes away from your ability to design, but she does sit with you. And if you kind of feel like you've got a little push about something about the pink and white that you're putting in.
So I'm doing that for the bridal.
Do you understand?
Print.
Okay. She likes that, is what she's telling me.
Love that.
Okay. So she likes that touch of what you've done, but they're very proud of you. Much love. And I just wanted to pass that along. Okay.
How wonderful to hear.
Oh, good. I'm glad because they when it's kind of like I have the headphones on to hear like Doug, you and everybody else.
Yeah.
And then I have another set of headphones and everyone else is on the other side trying to talk to me at the same time. So it's a little boom, boom, boom. Before we go, do you have any advice to some of the listeners you want to share about your journey?
I think my bigger takeaway from what I've gone through is that when you're going through something really, unfortunate or, a setback or a dark time, that you hold on to the light and the enthusiasm for what you do and what you do have. And then when you're going through a super high where everything seems amazing and great, that you retain some of your humility and self-awareness. So like that
that's
idea,
a very good way.
you could be in the multifaceted, I'm appreciating this moment, but I know I'm really here. I am not going to let this moment destroy me because I know I'm here kind of thing.
No, I think that's great. Now, before we skedaddle, new collection, when is it coming out? Because you talked to me that each dress is going to be named. I love that.
Yes. The new
that.
collection is
I
going to
really
officially
do.
drop on July 27th.
Oh, and where can we find your collection?
Yeah, it will be available in bridal stores around the world. And we'll hopefully have a healthy distribution so that we can reach lots of brides of all walks of life. And yeah, hopefully in stores by like August, September at least. And then we'll be doing some trunk shows. So that'll be fun.
Oh, fantastic. I am thrilled for you. I really am. And I appreciate you jumping on here with all the technical issues we've had and how busy your life is, that you came on here to share your journey with me. And again, thank you. I wish you all the very best and continued success. And I can't wait until the dress comes out. It's a little late for me. I'm a newlywed. After 20 years, we put a ring on it. I thank you. But I love your work, and your energy is fantastic. And wish you nothing but the best. Thank you again, Hayley, for joining us.
Thank you.
And as always, keep chatting with your angels, especially Marge, because she definitely can hear you.
Oh, I will. I will. And I actually, when you were thinking about the nickname, I just realized it's probably my mom, who's very much still with us, but her nickname is Mimi. And her real name is Donna, but she goes by Mimi. And so maybe my grandmother was.
I felt like she's trying to, she's trying to say hi to her.
Yeah.
But send them love. Would you send them love from both the moms that they're
I will.
like
She'll love
hug, and especially her favorite son. I'll just put that out there because I'd heard that. But thank you again. Stay well. And I wish you continued success.
Thank you. You as well.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time for another episode of Mediumship Moments. If you enjoyed this episode of Kim's podcast, check her out on Instagram and TikTok at Kim Durham Medium.